Well, good morning. Good morning to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. We appreciate you being here this wonderful, wonderful day. It is Wednesday, which is the only way that I learned to spell it. I wasn't going to spell. I gotten it wrong so much in my earlier years. And I just said, you know what? Let's go back to how we learned to spell phonetically. Wednesday. Wednesday. Now, I know it doesn't sound that way when we say it. We all smoosh it together. Wednesday. Wednesday. There's no Z in there. But it's a Wednesday. It is 91 degrees right now. It's quarter afternoon. In the afternoon here in West Central Florida, it is hot outside and sunny, which means it will be hot this afternoon and rainy because it's summertime in West Central Florida. That's how it is. And it just doesn't stop. I mean, the fun, I say that almost every episode. Excuse me, then I need to try to move my accoutrement, my mouse, and my keyboard, and like it just doesn't stop. And that's, I want to tell you that before we get started. That's kind of the point. The point of it is that they're not trying to stop it. The left wants, needs, must have chaos. Excuse me again. I'm trying to move all my stuff here, and there you go. My mouse is stuck on my keyboard, and nobody's happy. But they need chaos because with chaos there's pain, and they are the ones who are saying that we can relieve your pain if you indeed let us just turn everything over to us, give us more power, give us more authority, give us more of your money, and we will relieve your pain. Sounds like drug dealer, right? Sounds like some sort of organized crime. Hey, we'll make an offer you can't refuse. We'll take care of you. We'll keep people away from you. We'll make your life easy. You just gotta do what we say, right? Being in a gang, and that's what this is. So, well, what the rest of us have to do is that we have to stand. I was listening to a little bit of Dennis Prager yesterday, just a little bit, and he was saying that we shouldn't blame or judge people who have sort of fallen into it and been taken over it and pushed by social pressure. Uh, and Dennis Prager is a super smart dude, but what, I found myself saying to the radio out loud in the car, mm-mm, no, I will judge you. Uh, because you have the very same opportunity that I did to think things through. You had the very same opportunity and the very same comfort not to go along with the crowd. You should have had the very same practice not to be pushed through peer pressure as a youngster, which as a musician, I believe that you practice everything to get good at it. So when everybody started to smoke, you didn't smoke. When everybody started to do drugs, you didn't do drugs. When everybody started to have sex, you didn't have sex. Whatever the peer pressure was, when everybody was shoplifting, you didn't shoplift, because you know what, you could push back. You didn't have to. You didn't have to. So, I've always been that dude. So, I'm always like, nah, nah, nah. If you're being pushed along in the stream of the stupidity that is the world today, I don't. No, no, I'm going to call you out on it, because if I don't call you out on it, how will you know? How will you know? How can I just grab you by the shirt collar and start slapping you around a little bit so wait, wake up, wake up. No, it's okay. You can do this. You can grab you by the shoulders, shake you a little bit. You can do this. What they're telling you isn't true. You didn't question it. You just believed it. Wait, look over here. Right? Right? So, yeah, so I guess if it's judging, I guess I will judge you. I guess I will. But in the meantime, I'm gonna have a little coffee here. This is from my friend Premier One Driver, one of my favorite YouTube dudes. Oh, before we get started, I want to give a shout out to all the guys at Jetline Systems here in Tampa. I went there because one of the other YouTubers I follow, Stevo Knievo, a TBM 930 pilot, got his computer system from there. Now, I did not get my computer system from there, but I did go looking for some accoutrement for my flight simulating, my new habit. Uh, my new hobby, my new fun thing to do as a break from all of this. Like I need a break from all of this. But in any case, so and I went by and I talked to the guys, and they have super high end stuff. I mean, top of the line, and they are incredibly knowledgeable. And look them. You can Google them if you're in the Tampa area, or if you're in Florida. Uh, if you're in Florida and you're looking for a high end gaming system, and you want all the right information, because that's super important. There's so much information out there online about what graphic card to get, how to cool your CPU, and all that stuff. They'll be happy to walk you through it and build you a top line system. So I went there, and the guys gave me a bunch of information. I'm looking at going back, filming a video for my Instagram page, Tampa Flight Sim. I'm a sim enthusiast, so look forward to that. All right, let's get started with the stories today. How about that? We're 7 minutes in, and I know you guys are like, he ain't started talking about any politics. He's talking about stupid flight simulators, stupid games. No, they're not stupid games, but I like it, and I think that sometimes everybody needs a distraction, and sometimes coffee is a distraction. I love my coffee. Tastes better in my Premier One Driver cup. And some of y'all still go to Starbucks. I swore off Starbucks a long time ago when I knew that there was an alternative, especially local alternatives. And I would suggest that if you're a coffee fiend, freak, enthusiast, I'd suggest that you find some local place that brews that almost said burns, because Starbucks coffee tastes burned to me, that roast their own coffee beans. Um, and they are people who are local. They're not a national chain, and support them. Here in the Tampa area, there's Buddy Brew. I've been a fan of Buddy Brew for a long time, and there are others uh, that you can go to. But if you are a Starbucks person, know that Starbucks, due to rising crime, has closed 16 locations in lawless cities. 16, which is crazy because I mean, there was this joke on Family Guy. I think it was a Family Guy or the Simpsons. I don't remember which. Where there's a fire. There's a cartoon. There's a fire at one Starbucks, and everybody runs out across the street to the Starbucks across the street, because they're just popping up everywhere. They just like Wawas. You turn around, go, there's one. Wait, is there another Starbucks? Wait, right there. So that's how it's been. So to have them close is kind of crazy. So just how bad are American cities doing under the watch of the other Democrat leaders? Even ultra woke Starbucks is pulling up stakes in Democrat-run cities where drug use, homelessness, and crime have made staying in business untenable. After careful consideration, we are closing some stores and locations that have experienced a high volume of challenging incidents. So, I mean, Starbucks is super woke. A high volume of challenging incidents, crime, that makes it unsafe to continue to operate. To open new locations with safer locations in white neighborhoods. He didn't say that. Starbucks announced this week that is lawlessness has made it impossible to continue operating as a coffee shop rather than a mix of homeless shelter and drug injection sites, especially in California, especially on the West Coast for sure. Unsurprisingly, the coming store closures are in hellish cities that Democrats pretend are leftist utopias. Places like Los Angeles, um, Washington, Portland, Seattle, Philadelphia. The locations being closed, according to the Business Insider, include there are a bunch of them. Again, and they are in West Hollywood, super woke West Hollywood, Los Angeles, another one, Hollywood, Santa Monica, Philadelphia, Portland, Seattle, of course. Where it started, there were one, two, three, four, five, just in Seattle. Some and one in DC. Well, two in DC, three and four in DC. It's crazy. Perhaps most notably, the Union Station location in the nation's capital is a main commuter hub for congressional staffers and just a few blocks away from the U.S. Capitol building. But that location, like the others, has seen full-blown homelessness encampments, rampant drug use in broad daylight, and frequent harassment of travelers and employees. It's a telling sign that even Starbucks has found such conditions in the nation's capital and elsewhere inhospitable to doing its business, giving it have pursued an image of a woke corporation that does little, if anything, to push back against Democrat policies that now have caused them to close 16 locations. Of course, Starbucks can afford to shutter more than 12 stores and expend the capital necessary to open new ones, but because they are a massive corporation. Countless small businesses have been forced out of business as crime makes running a profitable shop more difficult. In addition to bungling its response to Marx's Black Lives Matter movement, Starbucks enacted, quote, an open bathrooms policy in 2018, and that stated that anyone in their stores, whether they're purchasing or not, is a customer who is welcome to avail themselves of facilities and stay as long as they please. Y'all remember? Though I think it was in Philadelphia. There was this, and this is why. This is why they had to just go super overboard with this and have policies and announcements about something that could have been handled by adults. Apparently, there was a guy, black fellow, waiting for a friend in a Starbucks in Philadelphia. As I remember the story. If you remember the story differently, send me an email at fightbackmedia@gmail.com, fightbackmedia@gmail.com, if you remember the story differently. And he was just waiting, and of course, one of the managers said, "I'm sorry, sir, you can't just wait." He actually, I should go to the bathroom. Bathrooms are just for customers. I'm waiting on a friend. They're not here yet, and I just want to use the bathroom. I'm sorry, you haven't ordered anything, sir, so you're not a customer. You know, one of those people who work at Starbucks. And it became a problem. Now, why the dude just didn't order something, I don't know. He could have just said, "Okay, then give me a small macchio latte, I don't think they order that stuff like they're speaking in tongues." Um, and I say, "Okay, now I'm a customer. Can I get the key to the John so I can pee? Or maybe I need to drop a deuce, whatever." That didn't happen. Now, why didn't happen? Because it was confrontation. Or the Starbucks dude could have just gave the guy the key and let him go pee. Or drop a deuce, whatever he was going to do. That didn't happen. So it became a whole thing that they were racist and blah, 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 because, and woke corporations like, "Oh my God, they're going to think we're racist. We're going to think that a coffee shop out of Seattle, Washington, that only rich white people go to are racist." So they got all freaked out. And so now they had this policy that it's an open bathrooms policy. Yeah, McDonald's has been doing that for 50 years. So has Burger King. So has 7-Eleven. So has most places. And if there's a problem in a particular location, they handle that best they can, like grown-ups in that location. They don't have to have an open bathroom policy to show they're not racist. Black people can poop here too and stay as long as you like. So some people have said have taken advantage of that. Surprise, surprise. Well, you said I could stay. Your policy is I could stay here as long as I like. I'm going to go in here and stay here for a few hours where it's air conditioned and I can pee and I can have some water and I can stay in here for 6 or 7 hours. Your policy says I can stay as long as I like. Super woke. That's not what they meant, folks, but that's what they got. Now, Starbucks' policy of supposed quote tolerance has paired with the lawlessness allowed by Democrat mayors and prosecutors cities to force the closure of 16 stores, costing jobs in the community where the opportunities continue to disappear due to spiking crime. Wow. It's a damn shame. It is a damn shame. But that's what these people are doing. That's who these people are. Speaking of that's who these people are, your girl, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, is not only the more excitable leftist types who are justifying harassment and intimidation of conservative Supreme Court justices. All right, now, let me help you. For those of you who do not know, for some reason, Supreme Court justices are not elected officials. We have a Supreme Court to be the final authority in our court system, as cases make their way up our court system from small claims to civil to criminal and above, and they make their way up to what we call our Supreme Court, because we are a nation of laws. And the founders knew at some point there needs to be a finality to any particular case. There needs to be some finality to it, and that's our Supreme Court, and that's sort of our rudder on how we move the country along. Very staid, very stable. And in order to be very staid and very stable, they have lifetime appointments. It is at the core. It's a fundamental thing, and I use the word fundamental because I'm gonna tell you something else in a second. It's one of those fundamental things that's at the core of our government and our way of life as Americans. One of the things that makes us fundamentally different from every place in the world. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and others are perfectly okay with people attacking that fundamental part of who we are. I use the word fundamental because Barack Obama said that we need to fundamentally change the United States, to fundamentally change America. What he said. He said fundamentally. Fundamentally, that's at the base. That's like if you want to change the foundation of your house, you have to damn it. If you want to change it out, if you're going to change your house fundamentally, you have to tear your house down. You'd have to tear your house down. Anyway, downplaying aggressive agitation, threats, and even violence against that is now emerging as the official normalized position of the Democrat Party. President Biden couldn't be bothered to comment on an assassination plot against Justice Brett Kavanaugh after his former spokesperson shrugged off the practice of left-wing mobs doxing justices and gathering outside their family homes. Chuck Schumer effectively did the same thing, noting that demonstrators have also descended upon his residence in the past. I'll just note that they were not MAGA types. They were progressive nuts, chased a female Democrat senator into a restroom stall, proudly filming the confrontation because she wouldn't vote for legislation they wanted. The president mused that it was merely part of the process. Nancy Pelosi pointedly refused to even half-heartedly denounce or distance herself from domestic terrorism campaign targeting crisis pregnancy centers on which other prominent Democrats are trying to crack down. Elizabeth Warren, amid those organizations being firebombed and vandalized. A Biden Capitol Secretary generated a virtual applause on social media for arguing that agitators gathering outside restaurants where justices are dining is fair game. The current White House spokesperson has adopted the same view, calling it democracy. One powerful Democrat House chairwoman famously argued he followers the followers to badger Republican officials they encounter in public. One comedian member of the left media echo chamber explicitly endorsed the idea that members of the high court should never experience a moment of peace again. Here's what they said. We have to raise hell in our cities, in Washington, in every restaurant Justice Alito eats at for the rest of his life. Because the Republicans have made our lives hell, it is time to return the favor. Another actually blasted Kavanaugh, again, fresh off an assassination attempt that was memory hold at light speed, for being a hypocrite because he didn't wade into the mob waiting for him as he ate dinner. For good measure, this person also effectively victim blamed Republicans that attempted mass shootings that nearly killed Steve Scalise in 2017. The self-proclaimed party of norms and institutions, which have declared itself terribly concerned about the political violence of January 6th, harbors every decreasing regard for norms and institutions that stand in the way of their power. This is our time income. As we know, enjoy election denialism. We know they enjoy election denialism when it suits them. And they evidently have a growing soft spot for intimidation and thuggery when the correct source of people are in its crosshairs. We are going to see widespread and passionate condemnations of bounties like this. Is this a rhetorical question? Okay. AOC tweets this. Poor guy, he left before his souffle because he decided half the country should risk death if they have a ectopic pregnancy within the wrong state lines. It's all very unfair to him. At least they could do is let him eat cake. This is after the story that we covered last week or so. Brett Kavanaugh is eating at Morton's Steakhouse, and a bunch of thugs are outside raising hell. And the people at Morton say, you know what, we ain't having that. And they escort the Supreme Court justice out the back. I guess they get his car or whatever, and he wasn't there. And they were pissed. They were pissed because they didn't get the social media moment where they're screaming and cursing and throwing things at a Supreme Court justice in an attempt to intimidate him. Now, what do we also know? We also know that the intimidation of officers of the court is a felony. It's a felony. So if you're mad at a local judge and you decide that you're going to go to their house with a bullhorn at 2 a.m, no, you're not. It's a felony. It's a felony almost everywhere in the country. Definitely a felony in Virginia. Not sure what Glenn Youngkin is doing or why he isn't doing anything, why these people aren't ending up in jail. They can replace the people who are in jail still for January 6th or being escorted through the Capitol. I don't understand. That tweet, according, I think this is Matt Vespa's article that I've been reading to you. This is it's Guy Benson. I like Guy too. Guy says this tweet is a work of art. Despite Twitter's supposed policy of seeking to stop the spread of viral misinformation, there's no warning label on this one, nor was author suspended. Of course not. Such rules are applied unevenly, to put it very diplomatically. Now, I'll put it this way, Guy. Such policies are only put against people who are not preaching the narrative of the far left. Regardless, AOC was dead wrong in spreading her fear mongering about ectopic pregnancy lie. As many people have pointed out, there is in the decisions, there's nothing to do in any state in America about women having ectopic pregnancies that have to be terminated. Almost every state in the union, even the triggers, even the all the states that had trigger laws, every single one of them that had trigger laws as an exception for life, health of the mother. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. So they're trying to incite this emotional hype and confusion, and occasionally you may hear that. And the Republicans trying to punish women who have miscarriages. No, they're not. That's not written anywhere. It bothers me because I had my YouTube account. I was suspended. I was in YouTube jail for a minute for supposedly spreading medical misinformation about COVID. I didn't. I was simply relating a story about two doctors, what they had said and what they were experiencing. And that video got hit with medical misinformation. When I was just relating a story, I wasn't telling people anything. Now, people will say, you're parsing words, Will. I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not parsing words. I was relating a story. Here's what they said in a newsworthy fashion. And this is what got them suspended. This is what got them canceled. This is why they lost their jobs. Also, the cavalier attitude about harassing and intimidating government officials at their homes or wherever they go is kind of disturbing. There's a scale of propriety on protesting, showing up outside of court, for instance, to picket and chant is an all-American free speech. Peaceful gatherings outside restaurants is creepier, more intrusive, and probably still on the acceptable side of the line. Aggressively hounding people inside of restaurants, and this is not hypothetical. It crosses the line. I mean, this happens. So is harassment of people's family residence, which is actually illegal. In the case of federal judges, still worse are threats, property destruction, and violence. Blurring these lines and consolidating all the above in the category as political action is dangerous and is dishonest. Amidst this claim, writer Matt Lewis makes the howlingly obvious point that the ideological roles were reversed in this environment, i.e., if right-wingers were the ones responsible for this moment of escalation agitation resulting apologies, the reaction and discussion around would be different. Yeah, if this was right-wingers going to AOC's apartment and standing outside of her apartment and protesting, it would be violent. If they were just walking by, holding signs, the left would say it was violence. She has said that taking her picture is violence against her. So what do we do? Keep doing the right thing. Keep saying the right thing. Keep doing and keep saying the right thing. That's what we do. because that's the only way out. That is absolutely the only way out. Keep doing, keep saying the right thing. All right, we're going to get a little break. We'll be back with more of the program right after these messages. Thank you for hanging with us this morning. Again, my name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. We are thrilled that you are listening on whatever platform you listen to get your podcast from. We're super thrilled that you are doing that, that you are enjoying that today. Whether it's on Spreaker, on Spotify, Deezer, Castbox, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, whatever. We appreciate that. If you're watching this on YouTube or if you're watching this on Rumble, we appreciate that too, or wherever online you found it. You can also find us at fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com. You check out our Instagram page on Fightback. That's Fightback Media. I just thought it was really good just to name everything the same thing. So whatever platform you're on, you just go do that. Yeah, just go do that. Do the Fightback Media thing. You'll find it. You'll find it either one word or three words. You will find it. Or type in Willie Lawson, WILLIELAWSON, WILLIE. LAWSON, WILLIELAWSON. And that's IE for all of you who are working at Starbucks who continue wanting to spell my name with a Y. Yeah, I've not met one Black dude who spelled their name WILLY. Not one. In my 61 years of life, I've not found not one Black dude who has spelled their name WILLY. Not one. Got some other Willies in the family. Nobody spells their name WILLY. So please stop doing that as a cultural thing, and in order to keep your wokeness, that your wokeness isn't just stupidity. No, your wokeness is stupidity. Please stop doing that to all your Black guests. You don't have to worry about me anymore because I'm not one of your guests. So, all right. Joe Biden gets a hard reality check on inflation. Now, they're already spinning this. You've already heard spinning this yesterday. I guess listening to as I'm zipping the dial. What's his face? Charlie Kirk. They're already saying that this is backward-looking data, but this comes out all the time. Man. This CPI comes out all the time, and we go by it. This is one of the things. Again, one of the institutions we go by the CPI, Consumer Price Index. That's what we go by. And yes, it is always it's a metric that is gathered, and then we look back at it and go, that's what it is, and we go, that's what it is until we get the next report, and that's what it is now. It's like your blood pressure. When you get your blood pressure checked to the doctor, and then a day later, that's not your blood pressure anymore. Could you check it every day? You could, but that's not how we normally do it. Could you check it every minute? You could, but that's not how we normally do it. We check it, and then if it's really high, then we may check it in a couple of hours, and we may check it again. And some of us don't get our BP checked but once a year, and you're just like, oh, it was good today. My BP is good, and then you're off another year, right? Until you end up at the doctor again, getting your BP checked again. Right? I'm not wrong. But here are the numbers. And inflation hits another new 40-year high. The overall consumer price index for inflation is plus 9.1% since last year. 9%. Gasoline almost 60% higher than this time last year. Fuel oil is 98.5%. Now, why is fuel oil important? Fuel oil, kerosene, and I think it's a lot of the products that make jet fuel, almost 100 times more than it was, 100% more than it was last year this time. Meat, poultry, fish, 10.4% higher. So yes, at the grocery store, get hammered again. Milk, 16.4% higher. Eggs, 33.1% higher. Coffee, my coffee, 15.8% more expensive than it was last year. All this leading to airline fares being 34.1% higher than they were last year. While the real average hourly earnings now we see a lot of jobs paying a lot of money per hour to do that job. But if you balance that with how much more things cost, you get what we call the real average hourly earning. Yeah, because your dollar just doesn't buy what it used to buy. So it's actually down 3.4%. 3.6%, 3.5%. It's actually down. What your money actually buys is down. So when the question gets asked, this is an age-old question, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? The answer is a resounding, well, hell no. Biden's runaway, and this is from Comfortably Smug, their Twitter account. Biden's runaway inflation is a tax on poor people and middle class. And inflation always is. Having a lot of money offers you a buffer from the rising and the falling, especially the rising of prices. If you're Elon Musk, you don't care that milk's 16% higher. You don't care. If you're Elon Musk, you don't care that that fuel oil is 100% more expensive than it was last year. You don't care. You don't, because it doesn't affect you. It doesn't end up in your front yard. I've said this forever. We won't care about anything until it's in our front yard. People in the suburbs didn't give a crap about teen pregnancy until the daughters in the suburbs were getting pregnant. Didn't care anything about crack until it started showing up in your neighborhood. Didn't care about violence or crime until it started ending up where you live. Now everybody cares. But this inflation thing, we were told initially that it was, it's not really there. And then we were told it was transitory, right? It was transitory. That means it would be there and it would go away. And then we were told it was good. This is good. That means the economy is rolling. And now inflation is the fault of businesses that are trying to survive. Inflation is you will lay the blame for inflation on the oil companies and everybody else who has to raise prices in order to stay in business. You can blame it on them. It's insane. New cars are up 11.4%. Transportation in general, 8.8%. Any food that you eat away from your house is up 7.7%. Used cars, that used to be our haven. You know, that used to be our buffer for the rest of us against new car prices, as they were just way too expensive. Well, you know, I'll just go buy a car that's been driven a couple of years. I'm fine. And if I get lucky, I'll find one with a couple years of warranty on it. You know, that's how we existed. Not anymore. Used cars prices are up 7.1%. Rent, shelter, 5.6% up. Clothes to put on my fat butt are up 5.2%. It's insane, right? And 2 days ago, the press secretary The White House is saying we have a strong economy. While today's inflation reading is unacceptably high, it's also about a date. Remember, I told you they were saying, it's rear looking. Energy alone compromised nearly half of the monthly increase in inflation. Biden said, "Tackling inflation is my top priority. We need to make more progress more quickly in getting price increases under control." Get out of the way. Meanwhile, the U.S. economy has fallen into recession after two back-to-back quarters of negative GDP growth. That's what that is. You continue to go backwards in GDP, that's recession. All right, folks, we got to get out of here, make room for somebody else. If you like what we're doing, send me an email, fightbackmedia@gmail.com, fightbackmedia@gmail.com, fightbackmedia@gmail.com. Make a comment here on YouTube or on Rumble. Let us know if there's some things that you'd like us to cover, Paul and I. Oh, by the way, my friend Paul at Swanson Report at .locals.com, the Swanson Report.locals.com. Check him out too. He's just, and we're all trying to up our game here. We all are just trying to get a little better. Get a little better, get a little better. All right. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody. And for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.